Lesson 13. Hold your struggles with strength. Not show in moments of rejection, when someone disregards you or minimizes your presence, there's a part of you that wants to be seen, not just in strength, but in pain. You want them to know how much it hurt. You want them to understand the weight they placed on your shoulders. But the Stoic path offers another way, not hiding your struggles, but holding them with strength, not show. There's a quiet dignity and resilience that doesn't perform. A grace in continuing your path without turning your suffering into a spotlight. It's not about suppressing your pain. It's about containing it with wisdom. You feel deeply, but you do not bleed on those who caused the wound. You speak less, but your silence radiates self-respect. This does not mean you lie about how you feel. It means you tell the truth to yourself first. You acknowledge the ache. You sit with the sorrow. But you do so not to gain sympathy, but to build clarity. You do so privately, as a ritual of inner alignment, not a spectacle for approval. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What if you applied that to your pain? If it does not serve growth, don't display it. If it doesn't lead to healing, don't repeat it. Let your healing be sacred, not sensational. Every time you rise without announcing the climb, you become stronger. Every time you choose to grow in silence, you deepen your roots. Let the fruits of your labor, your calmness, your clarity, your new direction, be the only proof that you survived the storm. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing that your story is still being written, and the most powerful pages are the ones you authored when no one else was paying attention. You didn't fold. You fortified. So hold your struggle like a warrior holds his scar, with reverence, not shame. Let it be the evidence of your endurance, not a plea for attention. You are not the wound. You are the healer. You are not the story of rejection. You are the author of redemption. That is Stoicism at its highest, strength so grounded it doesn't seek to be seen, only to be lived. Lesson 2. Control your emotional response. There is a powerful instinct in all of us to react, immediately, emotionally, and often irrationally, when we're rejected. It's a surge, the quick burn of embarrassment, the sharp edge of anger, or the deep pull of inadequacy. But if Stoicism teaches us one thing, it's this: we are not our first reaction. We are the space between stimulus and response. In that space, there is a choice, and in that choice lies our freedom. To control your emotions is not to suppress them, but to step outside of them long enough to understand them. When someone brushes you off or ignores your presence, pause before you respond. Ask, what exactly am I feeling? Why do I feel the urge to prove something? What does their opinion truly change about my identity? The Stoics remind us that most of our suffering comes not from events, but from our interpretation of them. And more often than not, we attach personal meaning to situations that are completely outside our control. Instead of lashing out or withdrawing, in hurt, channel the wisdom of calm. Take a moment to breathe and redirect your attention. You do not owe anyone your emotional volatility. You owe yourself peace. And peace comes not from indifference, but from intentional awareness. Rejection, when met with composed understanding, becomes an opportunity, not to collapse, but to rise with poise. This is not easy. It requires emotional training. But every moment of restraint strengthens you. Every time you don't react to provocation, you are no longer under the influence of someone else's actions. You regain authorship of your character. That is the truest power, the kind that doesn't scream, but stands tall in silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have, the power to revoke at any moment." That quote is not just beautiful. it's a blueprint. Your reaction is yours to shape. In rejection, you can either echo the chaos of the world, or you can radiate the calm of self-mastery. So the next time you're dismissed, misunderstood, or devalued, pause. Let that moment become a mirror. Use it to see where your emotional muscles still need strengthening. And then walk away, not with spite, but with clarity. You are not here to win temporary battles of emotion. You are here to build a lasting legacy of inner strength. Lesson 3. Detach with dignity. Rejection, no matter how subtle or direct, leaves a mark. It's the pause after a message that never gets a reply, the silence after a vulnerable gesture, the coldness in a room once filled with warmth. Our first instinct is often to cling, to seek closure, to understand, to try harder. But one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic arsenal is detachment. Not the detachment of apathy, but the detachment of dignity. To detach does not mean to stop caring, it means to care more about your peace than about someone else's recognition. You can feel the weight of being ignored, but you don't have to carry it. You can acknowledge the sting and still walk away with your head held high. The Stoics understood this well. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can absolutely control how long you allow that treatment to take space in your mind. Emotional detachment begins when you no longer beg reality to be different. You no longer hope that people change their minds or wish that situations unfolded another way. Instead, you look at things clearly, accept them honestly, and ask, "Now that I see what this is, how can I grow?" That question is the seed of transformation. Instead of replaying the pain of rejection, channel your mind toward discovery. Read books that challenge your perspective. Learn a skill that demands discipline. Create something that didn't exist yesterday. The mind that once obsessed over someone else's silence now becomes fertile ground for growth. That's the power of redirecting attention. Also, surround yourself with people who mirror your worth, not your wounds. Don't spend time trying to be seen by those who refuse to look. Share your life with those who truly listen. Detachment isn't just walking away from what's wrong. It's walking toward what's right. It's creating an environment that reflects the self-respect you're committed to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." To detach is not to punish, it's to liberate. You don't detach to teach someone a lesson. You detach because you've already learned yours, and that lesson is this: your life is too sacred to be wasted waiting for people who were never meant to walk the full path with you. So, detach with dignity. Grieve what was, honor what it taught you, and then with quiet strength, take that first step forward, not with bitterness, but with purpose. Rejection didn't break you. It revealed the door to your evolution, and you, grounded in Stoic clarity, chose to walk through it. Lesson 4. Show your value. Through action, rejection isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up as subtle exclusion, a promotion that bypassed you, a meeting where your voice went unheard, a project where your potential was overlooked. In these moments, the pain isn't just personal, it's existential. You begin to question your value, your relevance, your place. But the Stoics remind us, your worth is not decided by recognition. It's revealed in your response. When life leaves you out, don't shrink. Expand. Use that sting not as a reason to retreat, but as fuel to demonstrate who you really are. Not by speaking louder, but by doing better. Your value should never depend on someone else's ability to acknowledge it. Instead, let your value be so evident through action that silence speaks in your favor. Start by taking full ownership of your gifts. What are your natural strengths? What do you do that no one else can replicate in quite the same way? Invest in those areas. Refine your craft. Sharpen your voice. Initiate a project that reflects your vision. Be the person who doesn't wait to be chosen. Be the one who builds the table others want to be invited to. This is not about ego. It's about integrity. It's about honoring your purpose even when no one is watching. That's when true character is revealed, not in applause, but in perseverance. Your inner compass becomes clearer when you push forward without an audience. Let your progress be your protest. Let your growth be your response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That principle rings louder in the face of rejection. You don't need to explain your worth. Embody it. Each setback is an invitation to live your values with even more clarity, even more depth. This is how greatness is forged, not in spotlight, but in silence. Moreover, embrace empathy, not just for yourself, but for those who passed you by. Often their inability to see your worth is rooted in their own limitations, fears, or insecurities. By choosing understanding over resentment, you rise above bitterness. You make space for something better, someone wiser, or somewhere more aligned with your potential. Remember, rejection isn't rejection when it leads you to your own power. It's not a closed door, it's a mirror. It reflects who you are when no one is clapping. So stand tall, do the work, lead the project, start the idea. Let the quality of your contribution speak in rooms where your name hasn't been mentioned yet. Because the people who need your light will find it. And the recognition that truly matters will come not from noise, but from the unshakable stillness of knowing your own worth. Lesson 5. Cut off contact to reclaim. Power, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. When someone rejects or ignores you, your first impulse may be to reach out, to clarify, to fix, to make yourself seen or heard. But there comes a point when silence is not only an option, it is the wisest choice. In Stoicism, this silence is not passive, it is intentional. It is the quiet declaration that you are no longer available for disrespect. Cutting off contact isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's the realization that begging for attention diminishes your self-respect. That repeated attempts to fix a one-sided bond erode your dignity, and that sometimes the only way forward is to step back entirely. Not to make someone feel your absence, but to finally feel your own presence again. This is where many people struggle, because disconnection feels like defeat. It feels like giving up. But Stoicism reframes this moment. It teaches that removing yourself is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is knowing that your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are sacred. And you don't need anyone's permission to protect them. Use this space to remember who you are without the noise of external validation. Recenter on your purpose. Journal your thoughts. Meditate on your values. Pursue goals that don't require anyone else's approval. In this silence, you don't disappear, you regenerate. Your clarity deepens. You stop reacting and start directing your life again. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." That same principle applies here. If a relationship or interaction no longer aligns with your truth, then withdrawal is not rejection. It is realignment. It's your way of choosing peace over chaos, purpose over confusion. When you no longer chase, you reclaim your dignity. When you no longer explain, you reclaim your time. And when you stop justifying your worth to someone who isn't listening, you finally start hearing your own inner voice again. So let go. Disconnect. Not to punish, but to protect. Not to control outcomes, but to return to yourself. The strongest boundaries are not shouted. They are honored silently. And in that sacred stillness, you'll find not just healing, but empowerment. You'll realize you were never losing someone. You were simply finding yourself. Lesson 6. Let success be the silent response when rejection stings, when someone dismisses your potential, underestimates your capability, or outright tells you you can't. It's tempting to respond with words, to explain yourself, to prove your worth through argument. But words are often cheap, and explanations rarely change closed minds. Stoicism teaches us something more enduring. Let your success speak for you. You don't need to announce your intentions. You don't need to convince others of your dreams. What you need is discipline. You need focus. You need silent, unrelenting effort behind closed doors where no one is watching. Because true growth doesn't require a stage. It thrives in solitude. Rejection gives you something precious, the fire to become what they said you couldn't be. But this fire must be managed wisely. If you channel it into anger, you'll burn out. If you channel it into self-pity, you'll drown in bitterness. But if you channel it into mastery, into quiet, consistent improvement, you'll become undeniable. This isn't about revenge. It's about transcendence. It's not about making them regret their opinion. It's about rising so high that their opinion is irrelevant. The person who was overlooked is now the one setting the standard. That's not ego. That's earned elevation. Begin by setting a goal that's personal to you, not performative. Something that brings you fulfillment, not just recognition. Then work at it daily. Track your progress, but share less. Let your results accumulate quietly until one day they speak so loudly that the world cannot ignore you, even if it once did. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That rejection, that dismissal, it's not a roadblock, it's redirection. It's the forge where your resilience is hammered, where your strength is shaped. You'll know you've grown when you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. When you build, not to impress, but to express your own potential. When you show up, not to be seen, but because excellence is who you are, not what you do to be noticed. So let them doubt. Let them walk away. Let them say what they will. And in response, simply work. Build, improve, elevate. And when you succeed, and you will, don't look back. Not because you don't care, but because you're too focused on becoming everything they never imagined you could be. Lesson 7. Choose joy as a rebellion against rejection. When we are rejected, our first instinct is often to withdraw, to isolate, to stew in silence. But what if joy, simple, intentional, unapologetic joy, wasn't just a healing act, but a form of resistance? What if, instead of letting rejection close us down, we opened up? That is the Stoic power in joy. To choose it not because things are perfect, but because you refuse to be broken. Joy is not a distraction. It is a declaration. It says, I am more than this moment. I am not defined by this person's inability to see me. I still belong to the world, to my goals, to my people, to my passions. Joy reclaims your identity after rejection tries to strip it. So take action that honors your spirit. Go outside, move your body, make something with your hands. Revisit that hobby you forgot when you were busy proving your worth. Reconnect with friends who uplift you. Join spaces that energize you. Each laugh, each genuine conversation, each sunrise you watch with gratitude. They're all quiet affirmations. That rejection didn't win. This is not about denying your pain. It's about refusing to camp in it. Stoicism doesn't say ignore the wound. It says tend to it with reason and don't let it govern your life. Joy isn't an escape. It's proof of your resilience. When you can still smile, still dance, still build something beautiful while your heart is healing, that's strength in its purest form. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And what is joy but the conscious act of focusing your thoughts on what uplifts rather than what depletes? When rejection narrows your world, joy expands it. When you feel unworthy, joy reminds you of your wholeness. So rebel, not with resentment, but with lightness. Go explore a new corner of your city. Say yes to an opportunity, not to prove something, but to experience something. Create not from pain, but from the sheer thrill of self-expression. Let your curiosity lead you where validation cannot, because joy, when chosen consciously, becomes your silent anthem. You didn't break me. You made me softer, deeper, and somehow more free. And that, in the Stoic path, is one of the highest victories of all. Lesson 8. Build your social value from the inside out. Rejection often triggers a deep longing to be seen, to be recognized, appreciated, invited, included. But true social value in the Stoic sense doesn't come from being accepted by others. It comes from building something within yourself so authentic, so grounded, that others are naturally drawn to it. Not because you asked them to, but because your presence is undeniable. When you are ignored or dismissed, don't chase visibility. Chase depth. Instead of seeking popularity, seek purpose. Begin to craft a version of yourself that is rich with integrity, discipline, and quiet excellence. Focus not on the crowd you want to impress, but on the contribution you want to make. Let that contribution define your identity, not the opinions of others. This may mean taking steps that have no audience, improving your health, learning a language, starting a side project that lights your fire. Each time you invest in your own growth, you become more magnetic, not for external applause, but for inner alignment. The world notices those who need nothing from it. The Stoics believed in service to the common good. So as you rise, lift others with you. Join communities where shared growth is the goal. Volunteer your time. Offer encouragement. Ask real questions. This isn't about networking. It's about connecting, human to human, value to value. And from those roots, a new kind of social capital emerges, not based on popularity, but on authenticity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." Your social worth is not measured in followers, likes, or titles. It's found in how you make people feel in your presence. Do they feel seen? Do they feel safe? Do they feel inspired to grow? That's the kind of influence that lasts. So when rejection tempts you to prove yourself socially, resist. Don't beg for inclusion. Build so well that your growth becomes your gravity. Be so deeply rooted in your purpose that the right people can't help but find you. And if they don't, you're still complete. Because building social value from the inside out means this: you are no longer waiting for a seat at anyone else's table. You are quietly crafting your own. And when the time comes, the people meant for you will arrive. Not because you called for them, but because the life you've built calls to them naturally. Lesson 9. Treat indifference with elegant detachment. Few things cut as sharply as being ignored by someone you once held dear or respected. Their silence can echo louder than any insult, inviting a storm of self-doubt and frustration. But from a Stoic perspective, this moment offers a rare and powerful opportunity: the chance to choose elegant detachment. Elegant detachment doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means you care deeply about your peace, your energy, and your purpose, enough not to pour it into someone who doesn't value it. It is a conscious shift from reaction to refinement. You don't need to fight for attention. You need to walk with grace in the direction of your own integrity. The next time you're in a room with someone who has made you feel invisible, turn your attention elsewhere. Not out of spite, but out of strength. Engage with those who are present with you. Build bridges with those who reflect mutual respect. Your time is sacred. Why spend it trying to spark light in someone who's chosen darkness? This doesn't mean you erase the other person. If interaction is necessary, at work, in family, or social settings, keep it courteous, minimal, and emotionally neutral. Don't let their disregard become your distraction. Stay focused on your values and your vision. By staying composed, you demonstrate to yourself and to them that your self-worth is not up for negotiation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The behavior of others may be out of your control, but your response to it is entirely within your power. And when you respond with calm distance and quiet dignity, you reaffirm your sovereignty. Eventually, you'll reach a place where their silence no longer echoes, not because they changed, but because you did. You stopped needing their attention to validate your presence. You stopped interpreting their coldness as a reflection of your worth. You stopped circling their indifference and started orbiting your own purpose. And in that space, life becomes richer, more intentional, more focused. You make room for people who see you, hear you, and rise with you. You don't chase closure. You create clarity. You don't seek revenge. You embody refinement. Because elegant detachment is not giving up on connection, it's rising above entanglement. So treat indifference with poise. Let their silence fall where it may. You've already moved on, not in anger, but in evolution. And that is where true Stoic strength shines brightest, not in controlling the world, but in mastering your inner response to it. Lesson 10. Embrace silence as a strategy for inner mastery. When someone treats you with indifference, the natural urge is to break the silence, to reach out, to speak up, to fill the void with anything, words, explanations, pleas, or even anger. But what if you chose instead to meet silence with silence? Not from weakness, but from wisdom. In Stoicism, silence is not an absence of power. It is its highest expression. Choosing not to react is not passivity. It's presence. It's saying, "I am not available for this emotional tug-of-war. I have better uses for my time, my breath, my peace." Silence gives you space to return to yourself, to observe your inner landscape without the noise of outside drama. Let silence be your teacher. In that stillness, ask yourself, why does this person's reaction, or lack of it, hold so much sway over me? What need am I expecting them to fill? And how can I reclaim that power for myself? These questions bring clarity, and clarity brings strength. Your silence is not a punishment. It is a pause, a sacred space where your identity isn't up for debate. You are not withdrawing to manipulate. You are stepping back to reflect, to process, and to protect what matters most, your equilibrium. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Silence lets you rise above the reactive patterns of others. It's a soft shield that guards your energy, a gentle boundary that says, "I do not chase validation. I walk in peace." This does not mean you close your heart. It means you open your mind. It means you speak only when it serves your values, not your wounds. It means you no longer explain your worth to those who question it. You embody it, quietly and consistently. Eventually, your silence becomes unmistakable. It carries a calm confidence. It reflects your growth, and those who once ignored you may begin to notice, not because you called for their attention, but because your stillness speaks louder than their noise. So the next time indifference tempts you to react. Lesson 11. Never beg for attention. Honor your own presence. There is a quiet desperation in trying to be noticed by someone who refuses to see you. A subtle erosion of dignity each time you raise your voice just to be heard by someone who's chosen not to listen. But the Stoic path offers a liberating truth. The more you seek external attention, the more you abandon your internal power. To beg for attention is to hand over the authority of your worth. It's saying, "I will only feel visible if you see me. I will only feel valid if you acknowledge me." But your worth is not dependent on the lens of another. It is rooted in your existence, in your choices, in your quiet resilience when the world looks the other way. You were not born to perform for approval. You were born to be, to breathe fully in your truth, to show up for your life, even when others walk away, to build a self so whole that attention becomes irrelevant, not because you don't value connection, but because you no longer chase what diminishes you. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. The same applies to validation. The moment you need it to feel worthy, you've already lost part of your freedom. But when you learn to stand in your own presence, to feel the fullness of your existence without someone else's gaze, you reclaim your inner wealth. Instead of trying to be seen, focus on seeing yourself. Notice the parts of you that have grown. Acknowledge the habits you've broken, the fears you've faced, the wisdom you've earned. Pour your energy into pursuits that light you up from the inside. Create, learn, train, rest. Do it all not to be noticed, but to be nourished. This self-respecting posture is magnetic. The world may not clap immediately, but eventually, those attuned to truth will notice. And even if they don't, you will have already won. Because the prize was never their gaze, it was your grounding. So don't perform. Don't prove. Don't contort yourself to fit a space you've outgrown. Instead, root yourself deeper. Walk your path, lit from within, and let your quiet confidence be your only announcement. Because the moment you stop begging to be seen is the moment you start becoming undeniable, not in their eyes, but in your own. And that is the essence of Stoic power, to live not for applause, but for alignment. Lesson 12. Be kind, but guard your inner world. When someone ignores or dismisses you, the sting often tempts you to close your heart, to shut down emotionally, or retaliate in bitterness. But true Stoic strength lies in a much more refined path, responding with kindness while protecting your emotional center. Kindness in the Stoic tradition is not weakness, it is mastery. It says, I choose to remain composed, generous, and humane, even when I am not treated the same. But here's the important part. Your kindness must be rooted in self-respect, not in people-pleasing. It's a gift, not a transaction. And it comes with boundaries. You can smile and say, good morning, without inviting someone back into your emotional space. You can offer help without reopening old wounds. You can be courteous without being available for manipulation. This is what emotional distance looks like when it's guided by wisdom, not fear. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, to live a good life, we have the potential for it. If we can learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference, and what makes no difference to your soul's purpose, the fleeting attention of people who don't understand your worth, the inconsistent affections of those who only show up halfway, the empty approval of those who don't truly see you. When you learn to be kind without being entangled, you've stepped into a deeper freedom. Begin with clear inner lines. Know what kind of energy you allow into your life. Define the limits of your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your emotional depths, not because you are guarded, but because you are aware. You understand that your peace is sacred, and peace requires protection. This type of kindness isn't loud. It's calm. It's steady. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows their worth, doesn't fluctuate with someone else's attention span. It's the emotional posture of someone who doesn't need to be cruel to be clear. So when you're faced with indifference, respond with grace, but don't open the gates of your heart to those who didn't knock with care. Keep your compassion alive, but pair it with discernment. Let your soul remain soft, but your standards stay strong. That's the Stoic way, to live with a heart that remains kind in a world that sometimes isn't, yet refuses to be careless with its own emotional flame. Lesson 13. Hold your struggles with strength. Not show in moments of rejection when someone disregards you or minimizes your presence. There's a part of you that wants to be seen, not just in strength, but in pain. You want them to know how much it hurt. You want them to understand the weight they placed on your shoulders. But the Stoic path offers another way, not hiding your struggles, but holding them with strength, not show. There's a quiet dignity and resilience that doesn't perform. A grace in continuing your path without turning your suffering into a spotlight. It's not about suppressing your pain. It's about containing it with wisdom. You feel deeply, but you do not bleed on those who caused the wound. You speak less, but your silence radiates self-respect. This does not mean you lie about how you feel. It means you tell the truth to yourself first. You acknowledge the ache. You sit with the sorrow. But you do so not to gain sympathy, but to build clarity. You do so privately, as a ritual of inner alignment, not a spectacle for approval. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What if you applied that to your pain? If it does not serve growth, don't display it. If it doesn't lead to healing, don't repeat it. Let your healing be sacred, not sensational. Every time you rise without announcing the climb, you become stronger. Every time you choose to grow in silence, you deepen your roots. Let the fruits of your labor, your calmness, your clarity, your new direction, be the only proof that you survived the storm. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing that your story is still being written, and the most powerful pages are the ones you authored when no one else was paying attention. You didn't fold. You fortified. So hold your struggle like a warrior holds his scar, with reverence, not shame. Let it be the evidence of your endurance, not a plea for attention. You are not the wound. You are the healer. You are not the story of rejection. You are the author of redemption. That is Stoicism at its highest, strength so grounded it doesn't seek to be seen, only to be lived.